further ado, I will introduce you to real-time jobs.
Hello, North Coders and friends. We are real-time jobs with Anna, Hugh, Madeline, Andrew, Mark, and myself, Solomon. Now, we are on the verge of graduating. I'm going to tell you how. Imagine yourself as an employer who's had a hard time finding competent temporary workers. Conversely, imagine yourself as a person looking for a temporary work but cannot seem to find any vacancies. Over the past 2 weeks, we have designed real-time applications to fit just that need. It's an app designed to help employers in the hospitality industry quickly and easily find applicants for short-term employment. The app helps to verify applicant suitability via a real-time interview and is designed to disrupt the temporary job market. I'll now pass it over to Anna, who will run you through a demo of the app.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm going to talk you through a demo. Before we start, I'm going to point out there are 2 different demos running at the same time. This side is going to be the business. This side is going to be the applicant. So just make sure you look at them both. Okay, so we start off by clicking on the RT Jobs icon on both phones to launch the app. You can then select whether you're a business or an applicant, which will lead you to a login page. If you need to sign up, you go to Sign Up. It will take you to the sign-up page. You can fill it out. For this demo, we've already done that, so we're going back to the login page, enter our details, and go into the app. Okay, so first off, if you're a business, you're going to go into Post a Job. Within Post a Job, there's loads of different areas of a form that you can fill in. This will go on the application that the applicant will then see. At the bottom, you'll see there is an interview question section. There, the business can input any questions that they want to ask in the interview, which will become prompted later on in the app. The applicant can scroll through, view all the different jobs there are, and select Apply to select. To view these, the applicant can press on Applied, and the jobs can look at the applicants by clicking on Applicants. Both of them can then select Contact, and that takes them through to a real-time messaging service. So in here, they can organize a time for an interview. If there's any questions that they want to ask before actually doing it, they can do that here. At the top, there's a button that says Interview. When that is pressed, it'll take us to a real-time video chat where, which you can see it working here, where the business and the applicants can see each other. The business side, you'll see the questions that they originally asked in the post jobs appear. They get rated on the answer, and these will appear later on when we go back to the applicant list. Okay, so back to the chat, and then back to the applicant list. You can see there's an interview score, and that's when the business can choose to either decline or offer the job. Back on the applicant side, when he gets round to it, we'll go back, view the application that he made, and he can click Accepted. Once it's accepted, it updates on the business side, and both sides know then that is confirmed and what's going to be happening next. So now I'm going to pass it on to Mark, who's going to talk about our tech stack.
Thank you. So this is our tech stack. We decided as a group nice and early that we wanted to learn and experiment with as many technologies as possible. So this is everything we chose. It's worth noting at this point that the only thing on here we used during the course is Heroku. They've got a good reason for using that again, but everything else on here is new to us as of 2 weeks ago. So we've learned everything during the project. So we looked at initially at what we're going to use for backend and what language we were going to choose. We all had quite a good interest in learning Python, and we had a good check round to make sure this fitted what we wanted to do with the app. And once deciding on the language, that's what we decided to go with. As our framework, we chose Flask. We originally looked at using Django, but decided that Flask was actually quicker to get up and running, and therefore went with that. For TDD and testing the back end, we use unit test. They don't have a fancy logo, so it just says unit test. And that's pretty much our back end there. For database, we had a look around. During the course, we'd used relational databases, Postgres, and we're looking to do something a little bit different. We also wanted something that we could possibly do some real-time updates and maybe using something that's cloud-hosted. So we went with Firebase Firestore. It's a NoSQL database. It's very flexible because it's NoSQL, so you can add things to it at quite short notice, which is really handy during the project. So that's what we decided to use for our backend database. This led nicely for our authentication, is all done through Firebase as well. There's two set together perfectly, so that was an easy choice on that one. For hosting our backend, we chose Heroku. We did actually look at some other options documented in the Flask documentation. When we spiked these out and how to go with them, they weren't quite as quick to get up and running, and therefore we decided that actually we knew what Heroku was like, and therefore chose Heroku for the hosting. When it came to the front end, we looked at lots of different options. So we looked at Vue, we looked at Angular, we looked at using Cordova with these. We knew we wanted to make a mobile app that was quite flexible, so we did a bit of research onto real-time video chat, and there was very little out there on these, but there was a lot of information, or seems so, on React Native. So we decided to go with React Native for our front end. This was quite different, even though it seemed quite the same to things we'd use in the course. Was a little bit more different than we thought. We used Android for development, Android Studio, and we also, the messages that you saw there and the live stream are powered by OpenTalk. We store all our messages in Firebase, and we're also running an OpenTalk server on Heroku as well. That is pretty much our tech stack. We also use Adobe XD for wireframing, and our final product looks pretty close to it, so we're quite pleased with that. But I'm now going to pass you on to Hugh, who's going to talk you through the challenges that we faced during the project.
Thank you. I'm Hugh. I'm going to talk to you about some of the challenges. First up, WebRTC, or real-time communication. This was our first choice in tech for the video chat. It initially built for the browser, but it looked like it had a simple enough React Native module. We had a lot of trouble integrating it with React Native with compatibility issues between different versions of WebRTC, Gradle, and React Native itself. We got it just about working last Friday, but it was in a state that, as a team, we weren't really happy with, and so we decided to scrap it, and that was when we decided to use OpenTalk going forwards. So I talked about some compatibility, version compatibility issues we had. Another one of those was with React Native's gesture handler. So we install it, and we got a lot of errors. We can't sort it out, so we looked at the traditional resources of Google, Stack Overflow, and we've got nothing. Half a day goes by, and finally we noticed that about an hour before we installed it, it had a brand new release. We rolled it back, it worked perfectly, and that was the first release in 3 months. Another issue we had was with hosting our backend. It was working locally quite early on, but we wanted to make sure before we went too far with it that it was going to work while hosted as well. It built fine on Heroku, but it didn't work. We had to take it all the way back to literally 4 lines of code and just gradually increment on it. Every time we'd push it up, we would test that it was still working while hosting. It was time consuming, but I think we have a stable platform that was more easy to build upon going forwards. Another issue we had was literally laptop storage. Every time I installed a new NPM package, I had to delete something of value off my hard drive, just running out. Andrew had to sacrifice League of Legends just to install Android Studio. I think that's it for me. I'll pass you to Madeline, who will talk a bit about what went well.
Thank you, Hugh. Hi. So, looking at what went well, I would start with the fact that we finished the app in time, and this showing proof of good time management. Alongside this, we took half day out to practice GitHub, understand it, and learn new commands before actually using it for the app we developed. This benefited us greatly, as we had no issues with GitHub during the project. I'm really proud to say that we showed to be a very adaptable team. The ability to shift focus was critical, and many of us were needed to on back front end and back end, changing sites even a few times a day. This helped us be on track with the plan and the plan we had in place. As a collective, this project taught us to debug as a team and work things out for ourselves. The key to all these was, first of all, good communication, stand-up meetings, sometimes a few times a day, Slack channels, and even meetings at the pub. We came to find out that there is no such thing as bad or good communication. Actually, there was no bad communication. Everything just only good vibes. As long as there is commitment, passion for coding, and if we look every time for the best in everything, things will always work out well in the end. I'll now leave you with Andrew.
Thank you very much. As you can see, I'll be talking about working strategies. We have followed an agile approach with our following tools. We have set up an online and offline Kanban board. This allowed us to work on-site and off-site. We also had daily stand-ups where we rotated a Scrum Master so everybody can experience how it felt being the master. We also spec'd out new tech, which also enabled us to decide on what we should use and what we shouldn't use. We also generated a wireframe and a user story. This enabled us to set up a basic layout for our backend and front end. Made our jobs a lot easier, so I do recommend that. We also went through testing through a TDD approach using unit test in Python, as Mark talked about briefly. And finally, we also did mob and pair programming, which helped us tackle difficult problems, and it enabled us to share a lot more knowledge than we individually known. Thank you for watching our presentation. That is RT Jobs.